Alright guys, so here we are for day 2 of this EOC review using your calculator. I do have in front of me this release test from May 2018 and we're going to go through it and see which problems you can actually solve with the calculator. I hope you can hear me because I'm not using my microphone from yesterday. So I don't know how good the microphone is on the laptop, so we'll see how it goes. But anyway, so I'm gonna skip number 1 because even though it's an easy problem, it's not really, I would have to do a little bit more, think about it a little bit more. I want to go through the easy ones. Okay, number 2 says which expression is equivalent. Equivalent should be your keyword. Anytime you have something that says equivalent, there is definitely something you can do. Okay, first thing you're going to look at is how many variables does it have. Okay, how many different variables. This one only has the variable x. So if it only has one variable, then what you want to do is you want to go to a graph. Okay, you're going to go to a graph and you are going to see if you have two equivalent graphs. Okay, basically saying that if I graph this, one of these is going to give me the same graph as my original one. Okay, so that's the idea. So let's actually try that out. And I'm gonna go ahead and create a new document like you would always do. Don't save anything, so say no. And I'm gonna go ahead and add a graphs page because I already have my plan. My plan is to make a graph and see if they match. Okay, so I'm gonna start with my original one, which is negative 28x squared plus 35x. That's my first one. And then I'm going to try answer choice F, which is 7x. Oh, I can't type it. I have to press tab first so I can have that little window again to type. So 7x parentheses 4x plus 5. Okay. If it gives you an error like this, sometimes the calculator is being a little, let's just say, slow or special. And notice that when you pressed enter, it didn't give you like a multiplication symbol right here between the x and the parentheses. So it doesn't really know what to do there. So if your calculator is doing that, just put a multiplication symbol there because you already know it's implied multiplication, right? So let's try it. Let's hope this calculator is not being weird with us. Okay, there it is. So clearly you can see that there is a blue line right here, okay, or a blue quadratic actually right here, and there's a red parabola, so they're not the same graph. Now if you're not sure, what you can do is you can go to the table and check the table of values. Notice that these are always going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. But the red one and the blue one appear here. And the blue one has a 7. Well, this one has a 63, so that doesn't match. Negative 42, 182, that doesn't match. So definitely, because the graph and the table don't match. Okay, so they're trying to keep it short, but that's why F is not my answer, because the graph and the table don't match. So I'm going to go back to my calculator and I'm going to remove the table, so Control T, and I'm going to press tab and I'm going to press up so I can go edit the one that I had already entered there. Okay, so the next one is actually negative 7x. So I'm going to go to the front and I'm going to type in the negative and I need to change this plus 5 to a minus 5. Press enter. It seems like we found our match, right? The red one and the blue one are right on top of each other. But again, if you're not sure, Control T. The X values are always going to be like 1, 2, 3, and so on. But the blue one is 7, and the red one is 7. The blue one is negative 42, the red one is negative 42, and so on. I found my answer. Both the graph and the table, the T for table, let's do this again. Okay, match. Now, I don't want to make this video super long, but if I go ahead and type this next one in, the graph and the table are not going to be equal. And same thing for that one. If I go in there and type it, the graph and the table are not going to be equal. Okay, so ideally on the test, you want to really prove to yourself that you're eliminating the wrong answers. Okay, so since you do have 4 hours for the test, I would actually take the time to check each one of those and make sure that they do not match, just so that I know I didn't make any mistakes, like on typing in letter G or something, right? But for now, just for time's sake, I'm going to choose G, and that's going to be my answer. Okay, so let's continue, and I'm going to go on to number 3, and it says, okay, this one I'm not going to do it on the calculator, but it is quite easy. I'm just going to show you how to do it. Okay, so it says, which one of these best represents a system that has no solution? Okay, so this one right here has an intersection of 1 point. Okay, that means this has one solution. So because it has one solution, that's not my answer. This one has one solution right there, so that's not my answer. This one, I can't see a solution, but I know that they're going to cross eventually, and the solution is going to be right there. So that one's going to have one solution. And these are clearly parallel. They're never going to touch. So these are the ones that have no solution. My answer is D. Okay, so that one was super easy. You didn't even need a calculator. You should get any questions that talk about solutions of systems on graphs. You should be getting those right because they're just easy. Alright, let's go on to number 4. And it's another one that's going to be done on the calculator. They're asking me which of these statements is true. They're talking about x-intercepts, so where it touches the x. They're talking about y-intercepts, where it touches the y. They're talking about asymptotes, and I'll talk to you about what an asymptote is in a bit. And then it's talking about points. All of these words, except for asymptote, because I don't know what it means yet, or you don't know what it means yet, but all of these words can be found on a graph, right? I can find the y-intercept, the x-intercept on the graph. I can find the point 2, 1 on the graph. So because I can find them on the graph, I'm going to use my calculator, and I'm going to go ahead and do Control Doc and add a graphs page. Okay, so I'm going to add a graphs page, and I'm going to type in the equation they gave me. Remember, f of x is the same thing as y equals, so I'm only going to type this part right here. So I have 8. Oh, I forgot to select arrow again. What is this? I have 8, and then parentheses, 0.25. I could have put the 0.25x, but hopefully we can all agree that it's the same thing, right? And I'm going to press enter. Oh, I typed something wrong. What is this? So press tab. If you type in something wrong, press tab and then up, and then you can edit. Notice that I put a 2 instead of the x, right? So I'm going to go ahead and delete the 2 and put the caret symbol right there, so I can type in my x power. There you go. Okay, now it's the equation that I want. So let's look at x-intercept. And I'm going to make this one in blue. X-intercept. X-intercept is where it touches the x. So I'm looking for a point on the x-axis. And it seems to be somewhere around here, either at 3 or 4, right? And it says that the x-intercept is at 0.25. That's not true. The x-intercept is at about 3, maybe 4, right? We're not sure, but we're definitely sure it's not 0.25. So I can cross out f. And then the coordinates of the y-intercept are 0, 8. So notice that the graph only goes up to 6.67, but we can fix that. Okay, we can make it go a little bit higher. If you get that little hand and click on the axis and drag, okay, it's making it smaller, let's drag up, and now we can go ahead and see up to 10, right? Okay, so if I see my y-intercept is 0, 8, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, could be around 0, 8, right? So that one could match because when I count there, it is about at 8, right? I'm not sure, so I can look at the table actually. I could do Control T real quick and see if 0, 8 is on my graph. Let's go up to 0, 8, and yeah, definitely 0, 8 is there. So okay, G is a possibility. Let's look at H. I'm going to remove the table, Control T, and it's talking about the asymptote. Now I'm going to tell you now, asymptotes are always in y equals for algebra 1 purposes, so that's the reason why it's not this one. But an asymptote, when you're talking about an exponential function, we're talking about the line that my graph is approaching but never really crosses, like here. Okay, it's approaching the red line, right? This blue line is approaching the red line, but it never really crosses that red line. So that red line would be the asymptote. Okay, and lines that are horizontal like that are usually in y equals. So if you see asymptote and it has x equals a number, you already know this is wrong. Okay, and then finally, so because of the definition of asymptote, H is wrong. J is asking, says that the graph includes the 0.21. Okay, the 0.21. Remember last time I showed you how to do a grid? So I can go to Menu, View, Grid, Line Grid, and I could try to go make a point on 2,1. So 2,1, and notice how it's barely above the line, right? So it's not even included. And even if you didn't want to put the grid, I can go to Control T and look at the table and see if 2,1 is there. 2.5 is not 2,1, right? So this should actually be 2, 0.5, right? It's not there, the other one, so definitely not J. So my answer has to be G. Now I did make it a little bit longer by making sure that I go through every single answer choice and make sure that that I convince myself that the answer is G, right? But of course, if you don't wanna, you want to do that too. I was gonna say you don't have to do it, but you do want to do that. Convince yourself and tell yourself for sure these are wrong, so I know that the answer I chose is right. And you can even be keeping track of them, right? Like putting a little smiley face on the ones you know for sure you convince yourself the other answers were wrong, or put a star. What an ugly star I just drew, but whatever you, oh my god, that's like a masterpiece right there. But anyway, keep track of the ones where you actually convinced yourself that the answer was wrong, right? So you can keep track of those. Okay, number 5. What is the range of y equals negative x squared minus 2x plus 3? First of all, we have domain and we have range. By now, you should know that domain is x and range is y. They're asking for the range, therefore they're asking for y. I can already eliminate these two because they're talking about x. Okay, these two are talking about x. That's why I eliminated them. Now I have a 50-50 chance of getting it right, so it's increasing my chances of getting this question correct. So the only way I can see that is if I go to my graph. So again, let's add a page, so control doc, add a graph, and let's type that baby in. Negative x squared minus 2x plus 3. Press enter, and we know that positive 4 and negative 4 are going to be of high importance, right? So this one is saying that positive 4, I'm at positive 4 right here, okay? This one is saying that my graph exists with everything less than or equal to 4, right? Is the graph less than or equal to 4? And the answer to that question is yes, right? It exists on 3, it exists on 2, it exists on 1, and so on. Keeps going down, so that one works. And then this one says that it is greater than or equal to negative 4. Negative 4 is right here. It's like right in the middle of the graph. How could you say that the graph only exists over here, right, when there's still some graph down there? So this one makes no sense because the graph still exists below the negative 4, right? It exists on this area right here, okay? So that one doesn't work, so my only possible answer is C. Again, put a little star. That one came out a little better. Put a little star on the ones that you convince yourself that you have the right answer. Okay. Last one that I am going to attempt. Okay, it's the last one. This one's not that easy, but it's doable. Okay, I tried to find the easiest way to do this one, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's an easier way. If you figure it out, if you play with your calculator a little bit and you find an easier way, definitely show me. Okay, but anyway, this is what I'm gonna do. I want to know if it's equivalent, right? I told you earlier that if anything that says equivalent, you can do it two ways, right? I said one way works perfectly fine when there's only one variable, but this one has two. It has a k and it has an r, that's two variables, so I'm not gonna look for it on my graph, okay? Matching a graph or matching a table only works when you only have one variable. In this case, I have two variables, so I'm going to use my second method. My second method is let k equal a number. Don't let it be 0 or 1, because those numbers usually don't change your problems that much, right? Like 1 times 10 is still 10, or 0 times 10 just makes it 0, right? So that doesn't work. But I'm going to use a number like 2, and then I'm going to let r be a number like 3. Small numbers, so I'm not going too crazy, right? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to type this into my calculator. 144 parentheses 2, I'm replacing the k with a 2, squared, parentheses, I'm replacing the r, the 3, to the 14, right? And all of that is to the 1/2 power. Okay, now I'm gonna get a number for that, I could do it the same way we did it yesterday, where you match to see if they're equal, right? But there's just so many ways to do it. I'm going to do it this way and just help you out. Okay, so if I do that, I'm going to type it in exactly as it is there. Parentheses, 144, open parentheses, 2, close parentheses, squared. I didn't close the parentheses before. What is this? Okay, squared. Looks exactly like that. Open a parentheses, 3, close parentheses, to the 14th power. So use a caret symbol right there, 14th power. And then close your parentheses. Oh, not on top. Gotta come down from that exponent. Okay, and now this looks exactly like what I have right here. Oh, I'm forgetting. It's almost exactly. It's the 1/2 power. Okay, now it looks exactly right. So now this looks like that. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna press enter, and I got the number 52,488. That means one of these right here. Okay, when I substitute K for 2, or 2 for K and 3 for R, the answer is 52,488. So let's try the first one, right? On this one, we're going to try that one. So let's do 12 parentheses. The K is 2, the R is 3 to the 7th. So I'm going to go to my calculator and type it in. Let me erase this mess that I have going on there. Okay, so I'm going to type in 12, open parentheses, 2, close parentheses, and then open a parentheses, 3, close parentheses, caret symbol, 7, and press enter, and oh, got lucky. Look at that. Lucky, right? The first one that I tried gave me 52,488. Therefore, if you get the same number, your answer is F. Okay, now again, you have 4 hours for this test, so you should be convincing yourself and going back and telling yourself, this one didn't give me 52,488, so go back into the calculator and try it out. So before you eliminate it, right, check that one and make sure it doesn't give you the same thing before you eliminate. Once you are sure that you know why G, H, and J don't work, then you can give yourself a star and be keeping track of the ones that you know for a fact they are correct, right? Alright, this is all for today because the video is already quite long and I don't want to bore you. I mean, you're already probably bored unless you really are trying it on the calculator and pausing the video. But anyway, this is all for today, and hopefully you're learning a lot from this and you're practicing with a calculator so that by December you are able to at least put into practice some of the stuff you learned. Okay, again, let your teacher know if you have any questions. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll be helping you out on the next video for tomorrow.